Come back with me 11 years. 2007, sometime in the summer, and I'm sitting in my car. And I've been sitting in my car for about half an hour, trying to decide, am I actually going to get up and go to work, or am I going to quit? I've been feeling like this for a month and a half. I was tired of the staff. I was tired of the business itself, and I was looking for a change. The problem was, I owned the company. I was a partner within a company that was dysfunctional, where the staff didn't care about their job, where my partner's attitude was that, you know what, maybe if we just forget about it, it'll go away. And the people that I was working with didn't have the passion to do what they wanted to do. And I decided right then and there, it was time for a change. But what do? You're part owner of this company. It's a thriving company. We were a $5 million company. And I had customers that I had promised for the decade before that I was going to take care of them. That I was going to be the one that was going to make sure that their needs were met, that they were going to be able to be taken care of no matter what, and they trusted me. And my question was, did they trust the systems that I built over the last 10 years and the people within my office, or did they trust me? And I didn't know. And you go with your gut. And 6 months later, you know what? I had built a business. I had formed a business plan. I had incorporated another company name. And I walked into the office that day, opened up my computer, typed up an email, sent it out to my list, put a 6-word subject line, shut down my computer, and walked into my partner's office and dissolved our partnership. And it terrified me. It terrified me because I didn't know, were these people that had been trusted partners and trusted clients of mine for the last decade going to follow me? Were they going to come with me, or was I just starting from scratch? Was I going to be walking out with nothing? And I didn't know. And I went home, and I opened up my computer. And all of a sudden, I started reading email after email after email after email. What took you so long? Congratulations. We're excited for you. When can you come in and tell us about the new business? And that's when I realized it's not the company. And the company they work for is great, but it's the personal relationships you build based on the relationships between you and the people that you work with that allow you to have a powerful personal brand. Now, that brand is built over trust. A brand is not a logo. It's not the letterhead or any of those type of things. It's who you are when you're not in the room. How do people think about you? When you're not there to talk to them directly, when you're not shaking their hand, when you're not listening to them, how do they feel about you? Do they trust you? Do they know that you're going to take care of them? Do you know that you're going to solve the problems that they have? And the question is, I do. We all have a personal brand. We may not know it. We may not even understand it, but it's there nonetheless. Our brand is made up of our memories and experiences, our understanding of our own self-worth, and how others perceive us. Our personal brand is the culmination of our past, our present, and our future. It is what we believe and what others believe about us. It's how we think, how we communicate, and how we act. But what if we act one way and communicate another? How will people understand what our personal brand really is? Think about it. If we act in an inconsistent manner, how will people perceive our personal brand? Well, if human nature is to be believed, people will base their opinions on what you do over what you say. So is how you act and what you say consistent? Saying yes is the key to a powerful personal brand. There's things that I believe in life, and those things are the core of what my brand is. It's what you believe. What are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to stand against? What are the things that make you who you are? Because each one of you in this room are someone different. Each one of you have unique things that make you who you are, and that's what makes you interesting. Those are the things that people want to know when you're out there either looking for a job or getting a promotion or leading a bunch of people. Because people want to know what makes you who you are, the things that are interesting. Once you've gotten past the resume, once you've gotten into the interview, it's not about, oh, I did this course and this course and this course and I graduated with these honors. Guess what? They already know that. They want to know about your personality. They want to know what makes you tick. What do you believe? What are you excited about? What are you passionate about? Who is your family? What kind of vacations do you like to take? What are the things that get you up and going in the morning? What are you curious about? People want to know these things. And I believe, and this is the only math that I'm going to get, UP plus LP equals IF. It's understanding the past to learn from the present allows you to influence the future. We all have a unique past. Some of us had a wonderful past, some of us had challenges. But it's understanding your past, embracing it, and learning from it. I had a horrible day yesterday. Okay, fine. It was a miserable, rotten day, but it's over, it's done. What can I learn from it? What are the things that I can learn and glean from it that are going to make me a better person? What's going to make me more empathetic? What's going to make me more interesting? What's going to allow me to communicate with other people better? Because that's what it's about. It's understanding where you came from, because we all have a past. And if we understand our past, and if we learn from our present, here's where I am today, you can understand where you're going to go in the future. What are your goals? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? How do you want to be perceived? They're all important questions.
Greatness, it's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars, and the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
What is your greatness? Nike said it perfectly. Their brand is built on excellence. It's based on reaching your potential and exceeding your potential. We all have a potential. We all have things that are way beyond what we think that we are capable of. And we're able to stretch that far and be able to do it. You know, we all have personal goals. You know, my goal right now is to be the best speaker I can be and to be able to help you guys learn. So we have short-term goals. What are your short-term goals? What are people in this room, and I'm asking this question, I'm asking this seriously, short-term goals within the next 6 months, What do you want to do? What are the things that you want to accomplish in the next 6 months? And how are you going to do it? Are you writing it down? Are you actually building a plan to achieve it? Are you actually thinking about it in a way that say, you know what, this is how I'm going to get here? Because this is how you do it. It says, this is my goal. This is where I want to be. This is where I am today. What are the things that are missing in the middle to get me there? You know, and we all have those things, whether it's a mentor. I mean, talking to Wendy, mentorship. We all need one. I have a mentor. I am a mentor. I will be the rest of my life. I always believe that everybody in this room has something that they can teach to others and something that they can learn from somebody else. And you learn almost as much about being a better person by being a mentor as you do being a mentee. I find that we all have things that we know how to do better than somebody else. And you don't have to be an expert. You just need to be a little bit more advanced in a certain area than somebody else is to be able to give them a hand up. It's not a hand out, it's a hand up. Give somebody the benefit of your experience, and by doing that, you're going to learn from them as well. You're going to learn things about yourself that you didn't know. And it's time and effort well spent. Long-term goals. And I'm talking the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, where do you want to be? Vision it. Whether it be a title, whether it be a place, whether it be a mental space inside your head. I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to have seen the Great Wall of China. I want to be able to lead a team to do X. Make it specific. The more specific you can make your goals, the more achievable they are. We all say, I want to make $1 million. Well, how? How are you going to make that $1 million? I want to be in the 30 under 30. I want to be in the Business in Vancouver 30 under 30 crowd, or 40 under 40. Okay, how are you going to go about achieving it? Who are you going to talk to that has already done it and found out how they got on the list? What are the things that they did in order to achieve that? What are the things that they did within their business to differentiate themselves? How did they communicate that differentiation? How did they draw attention to themselves in a positive way by doing the things that they should be doing and stepping up and getting themselves elevated to that level? It's taking where you are, it's seeing where you want to go, and looking at the gaps. We all have gaps. That's okay. Gaps are good. They push us. Align yourself with people that have gaps in different areas that you do. I have a group of friends that I believe in. Some of them are really good at math, some of them are really good at video, some of them are really good at other things. And we rely on each other. You know, there's things that I do really, really well. There's things that I'm really, really bad at. I don't focus on the things that I'm bad at. I focus on finding people that are good at the things that I'm bad at and becoming friends with them and learning from them and getting them to help me and helping them to push through the things that I just don't know how to do. That's why I hire an accountant. I don't want to do the year-end taxes. Can I do it myself? Yeah. I could also paint my house. It's not time well spent. And you know what? Then I'm also going to have my wife sit there going, you missed a spot. And she will. And then there's the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goals. Where do you want to be in 15 to 20 years? I want to be on a stage in front of 15,000 people. I want to be able to be speaking around the world and be able to motivate people to be better at who they are and communicate their value in a more effective way. That's what I want to be doing. Each one of you has a different goal, and it's yours. Embrace it. Don't say it's stupid. Don't say it's trite. It's your goal. Live it. Understand it. Work towards it. And you know what? If we don't all reach that big, hairy, audacious goal, if we bump up just below it, think of the amazing things that you'll have done along the way. Never be afraid of failure. Be afraid of not taking a risk. We all are going to be more mad and frustrated and envious of the things that we never took the risk to do than the failures that we had along the way, because they're not failures, they're learning experiences. We're all going to learn from our mistakes. Failure is part of success. When you fail, it gives you the opportunity to say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What can I learn from this? How can I be better next time? And it's all part of your brand. It's all part of what makes you who you are and what makes you, passionate about moving forward. And figure out what are the things that you individually want to accomplish, whether they be your short-term goals, your long-term goals, or those big, hairy, audacious goals. Those things, those lofty things that we want to do, and write them down. Write them down. Don't just say them. Tell other people about them. If you tell other people about them, it's like putting your feet on the fire. It gives you that motivation to move forward. If you keep it bottled up inside you, you can build 100 excuses not to go after them. If you write them down, if you tell people about them, if you get excited about them, and you work towards them, your life will be better. And you know what? Those are the things that other people notice, and that's what gets you hired. That's what gets you promoted. That's what makes you a great leader. Oh, hang on. Before I start, who here knows who Gary Vaynerchuk is? We got one. Okay. Gary Vaynerchuk is a marketing guru. He's brash. He's a New Yorker. He's in love with the Jets. Absolutely in love with the Jets. Wants to buy them. And his brand of marketing is in your face. The joke was when I saw him live, what was it, about 3 years ago? The joke was, how many times is he going to swear during his speech? And my tweet back was, as many as he wants. That's his brand. But his message is what's important. His message is, and always will be, that love yourself. Be passionate about yourself. Learn who you are, and don't be afraid of failure. And don't be afraid of the fact that, you know what, I'm 25 years old and I haven't made senior vice president yet. You're young. Guess what? I'm 50. I'm still not senior vice president. All right, I own my own company. But what it leads you to believe is that, you know what, time is on our side. And it's the experiences along the way that make it better. So here's a short video by Gary.
Gary, Rachel here. Love the show. So my question today is, do you recommend building a personal brand even if you're a behind-the-scenes player?
Rachel, it's a great question. I would say absolutely. Let me give you an example. If you're a behind-the-scenes player, wouldn't you want to be behind the scenes of somebody that you believe is the greatest in the world? And if you were building your personal brand around, I'm an unbelievable number 2 or number 4 or unbelievable admin or an unbelievable, I don't want to be out there, but I want to support the people I believe in the most, those people are going to be looking for those people. And so you might build the brand as an incredible human infrastructure player for somebody who's the greatest, and that would be then great for you. If you were the number 1 admin to the most successful person in the world, you are, and the nicest, I mean, I don't want to make this just about money. There's always a better situation potentially, and you want to give yourself that best opportunity. So building personal brand only speaks, my friends, to opportunity. If you're good at it and you're articulating your truth and you have the goods to back it up, all being out there. And people get so caught up in semantics of, oh, I hate that word personal brand. Like, don't get caught up in the semantics. Having exposure that creates opportunity is a good idea. Period.
So the thought process behind that is, not everybody has to be out in front of a crowd. Not everybody's comfortable about being in front of the crowd. Sometimes, and a lot of people are like this, in fact, the majority of people are like this, they like being a good number 2. Or they like being part of an executive team and being part of that crowd and being able to contribute, but not being at the very top of the pinnacle. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody is designed to be CEO. Not everybody is designed to lead a major corporation or a small corporation. The world needs great people to support great leaders in any capacity whatsoever, whether it be a CFO, a CMO, a COO. All of these people make up a team for what it is. And the more you can understand that this is what I contribute, this is how I make the team better, this is how I add value, and be able to articulate that in a way that other people understand it, they listen to it, and they respond to it, that's what's important. It's showing up. It's showing up and saying, you know, as Wendy was saying, it's the people, you know, when somebody gets hired or somebody gets promoted, it should be obvious because you've already done the work. You've already been there. You already said, hey, listen, I have an idea on this. I have an idea, you know, how we can do this. Here's a problem that I saw. How do we fix this problem? And here's 2 or 3 different ideas. When I had staff, nobody was allowed to come into my office unless they had 2 solutions to a problem. Nobody could come into my office and say, we've got a problem. They have to come into my office and say, we've got a problem, this is what's happened, here's 2 different ways that we can fix it. I may not take either, but what I'm listening for is the initiative. I'm listening to the fact that they care enough about the customer and they care enough about the company to come with a solution. And they've already taken the time to think about it. They've already taken the time to say, okay, we're going to be late on this project. Here's how we can fix this. Here's how we can deal with the customer. Here's how we can deal with the project management team. Here's how we can deal with the fallout that's going to happen from this. And those are the people that have, you know, forward-thinking ability. You know, anybody can say we've got a problem. Anybody can say, oh God, that didn't work properly. Anybody can hide from an issue. And we all hide behind email, social media, whatever. You know what? It's the guys that can sit up there and say, I made a mistake. Women say, I made a mistake. This is what happened. This is how we deal with it, and here's how we can fix it. Everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. God knows I make mistakes, but I own up to them. And if it costs me money, it costs me money. If it costs me personal reputation, it costs me personal reputation. But I'll tell you something. My customers have been loyal to me for years and decades because when I do make a mistake, I fix it. And they know that. And that's part of my personal brand. They know that my handshake and my word is God. I will not shirk from my responsibility. I will not deal with it. And if it costs me money, and if I'm the one that has to stand up in front of their customer and say, mea culpa, I made the mistake, then I will. And I will not cause them embarrassment if I don't have to. And I don't want people to be embarrassed in front of their boss if I can take the hit. Because you know what? It's my company. It's my responsibility. It's my brand. And my brand says, I will take care of you. Social media. I could go on for hours about personal branding and social media. Where do you start? Consistency. You need to be consistent. Wherever you are on social media, whatever you say, whatever pictures you put up, however you respond to people, make sure the look, the feel, the conversation is consistent. When you're looking at my social media feed, and you know what, for a small company, I am on way too many platforms, but I'm a marketing company, I have to be there. Every picture is the same. All the message is the same. And people know that it's me no matter where it is. Because Ben Baker, how many Ben Bakers are there on social media? And when you're searching for me, you're going to be looking for a picture because that's the identity. So please, number one thing, put a picture up there and make sure it's a good one. Take the time and make the investment to have a professional picture done. Look professional online. Because when you look professional online, people take you seriously. When there's no picture on your social media feed, guess what? You're discounted. You're hiding. What are you hiding? You know, why are you hiding? Take the time. Look at your image online and see where it is. 10, 11, 12 years ago, early days of Facebook, I was teaching a course at, what was it? I believe it was at Kwantlen in fashion marketing. And it was 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, mostly females. And I was telling them, I said, the first thing you're going to do when you finish this course is you're going to go home and you're going to take a look at your Facebook feeds and you're going to scrub it. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, each and every one of you have pictures on there and comments on there that someday, somehow, are going to get you in trouble. I said, what are you talking about? You can't get in my Facebook feed. So I brought up each and every single one of theirs. And I saw who was dating who just broke up with who, the party that they were at on the weekend. And even if you scrub those pictures, if one of your friends has tagged you on that picture and they've sent it off to people, even if you've shredded it, it could still be out there. And guess what? Every potential employer and every potential opportunity for advancement, people are looking at your feeds. They have to. It's the brand of their company. And if they see that all they see are drunken pictures of people on your feeds, is this the type of person that they want in senior management? Is this the type of person that they want creating, you know, opportunity within their company? Those pictures may be 10 years old, but nobody looks at that. They see the picture and they associate it with a brand, and that brand is you. So take the time and make your professional picture and your professional voice to the world, which is social media, as consistent as possible, as professional as possible, and as likable as possible. And the other thing is, when you're dealing with social media, be engaged. Don't just like things, don't just hit the heart. Tell people why you like something. If you're going to take the time to hit the like button, put a comment. I liked it, yeah. Oh, no, okay. Seriously, ask questions. Take the time to comment on things. Take the time to be engaged on social media. Take the time to put your opinion out there, because everybody has one. You guys are, you know, graduate students at SFU. I was in this course yesterday. We talked about this. This is what I thought about it. I just saw this article. I read this article. I think this article is really cool. This is why. And put your opinion before the article. There's nothing wrong with sending out somebody else's article. But the question is, why do you think it's interesting? Why do you think that somebody should attach your brand to this article? Why should you think that anybody thinks that your opinion matters? Because your opinion matters if you say, I read this, I thought it was valuable because, or I thought this would be good for this type of person, or this taught me this. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for, how do you think? What's important to you? What are the things that matter to you? Did you have a question?
So in social media, you talk about us having this platform to put ourselves forward. But if you are multiple faceted, so like your LinkedIn profile will probably be the same as a YouTube, and that focuses on you and your brand and marketing.
Yeah.
But if I let's say what I do on the side is running,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a runner, and I will post things about running. But on the other hand, I also do product management, or I do ETC, and that's my professional end of things.
Yep.
How do those overlap? Should they overlap? And is there a way in which, no pun intended, can I separate those two? There is me, the professional, and then there's me, the
Yep.
personal.
The question was, for anybody who didn't hear it, is the fact is, how do I separate my personal from my professional life? I spoke at UBC last week to young doctors, and it was on Digital is Forever. And what I said to them is, separate your personal and your private lives. You know, especially when you are a professional, like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, and you really want to have your patients or your cohorts see you in a certain way, be that way on LinkedIn. But if you're going to be on Facebook and you're going to have a personal life on Facebook or something like that, maybe have a different profile. You know, have a different picture. Have a different, have a different name. So if you're going to have one name on LinkedIn, have a different name on another. It'd be Ben B instead of Ben Baker, or your brand marketing on LinkedIn and Ben Baker on Facebook, and with a different image. So what it does is it keys it off to sit there and say, I talk about this on LinkedIn, and I talk about this on Facebook, and I might talk about something else on Snapchat, and that's okay. As long as you separate it and you don't start talking about the things on LinkedIn that you talk about on Facebook. Separate the two lives. Make sure they're both professional, make sure that there's nothing in there. As the expression says, is there anything that I wouldn't show my grandmother? Would I put anything online that I wouldn't tell my grandmother? Okay. Real simple. She's pretty progressive. But you look at it and sit there saying, it's still who I am. This may be the personal side of me, this may be the business side of me, and they're different, and they should be. But you still want to make sure that the personal side that you're putting out there is the best face of who you are personally. So that's what I'm trying to say is build your social media identity in a way that puts the best foot forward, because they will look at both. And they will understand that Facebook is more personal than LinkedIn is corporate, especially if you design it that way. And they will look at them differently, but they're still going to have a very good idea of who you are as a person, because your brand is how other people perceive you. It's not how you perceive yourself. It's how others perceive you when you're not in the room. And that's what you want to be thinking about. When I walk out the door, when I close the door behind me, when I drive away, when I just left the interview, when I just left the meeting, when I just left the client's office, how do I want people to think of me? That's the number one thing you want to be thinking about of your personal brand. What is the image I want people to be thinking of me, and how do you want people talking about me when I'm not in the room? Social media is tough, and realizing that there are certain conversations that you engage in, and there's certain conversations that, you look at it and go, well, I'll read through this, but it might be better that I just stay away from it. And that comes down to your own personal judgment. I have friends of mine that constantly try to engage me about Trump. I'm not going there. I'll talk to them offline about it, but I'm certainly not going to engage with it on social media, because some of my clients are pro and some of my clients are against. I don't want to put an opinion out there. That's because of what I do professionally. It doesn't make sense for me to get into that quagmire. Happy to talk to you about it one-on-one, happy to have a discussion about it here, but online, where it's forever, I'll keep my conversation to what I'm an expert in and what furthers my brand. Does that make sense? Okay. So, what do you do? It's a question we get asked every single day of our lives. I'm sure this morning people met each other and said, so what do you do? And we go into these long diatribes about sentence after sentence after sentence. Well, I'm in a marketing company, and these are the type of people that I do with, and this, that, and the other thing. It's just, people want a hook. Forget the elevator pitch. Forget the 1-minute talk. 6 words. I help people communicate effectively. That's what I do. I help people communicate effectively. The question is, ask people what they do first. Gauge them. Find out who they are, what they do, who's the person you're engaging with. Be more interested in them than they are about you. Be more interested in them than they are in you. Because when you can get people talking, most people talk about themselves. People love talking about themselves. And when you do, you're going to find out about things that you can lead into a conversation, and you can build the conversation about things that are going to be interesting to them and how you might be able to help them and be able to be interested and interesting. Let people know that you're interested in them. That's how you build relationships. It's not about you, it's about the people that you're with. And trust me, if they're people that are going to be valuable to you, they will turn around and they will reciprocate. And then you'll have time to talk about what you do. But the first thing you want to do is keep your answer short, simple, and to the point. I help people communicate effectively. Simple, straightforward. What do you mean by that? And then I can start talking about what I do. Because now they're interested. If I tell people I have a marketing company, oh, okay, I have a brother who's got a marketing company, I don't need to know about that. Yeah. I sell promotional products. Oh God, I know 50 people that sell promotional products. Yeah. I'm a lawyer. Oh, okay, I know 100 lawyers. You know, if you can come up with something that's distinctively you, that gets people piqued and interested in what you do and why you do it, that's the trick. Be interested, be interesting. Engage. Something we don't do enough of. And tell a story. Get rid of mission and vision statements. What was the first thing that I did when I walked in the room? I told a story. Why did I tell a story? People remember stories. And it gives you an insight into my soul. It tells you a little bit about who I am and what I do. And it gives you something that is repeatable. People can tell that story, whether it be a personal story or a corporate story. People relate to stories. People want to know about, where's the champion? What is the cause that they're championing? What are they passionate about? What are they interested in? And the more you can have that story or a series of stories at your fingertips that are simple, that are easy to understand, and they're repeatable, people will repeat them. I met this guy the other day. It was really interesting. He told me this story about this, and this is his name. You got to meet him.
Would you then connect your personal brand with your professional brand if you have a good story to tell that elevates your professional brand?
Absolutely.
Say, in this case, for example, if you're planning to run a marathon and if you've developed internal goals to get there and the tasks and how you've actually monitored and measured yourself, that's your project management story.
That's right.
So then you can actually tell the story.
Exactly. Your brand is it doesn't separate your personal and your corporate brand. You have one brand. The brand is you. And everything that makes you up is part of you, whether it be your kids, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your parents, whether it be the things that you are passionate about. For me, it's golf. By the way, happy US Open weekend. It's not Father's Day, it's US Open weekend. It's understanding that you are one person. It's this public-private relationship that you have with yourselves. Guess what? There's life. There's not public life and private life, there's life. And you take a little bit of your personal into business, and you take a little bit of your business into personal. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with understanding that this is who I am as a human being. Your brand is, this is where I stand. This is what I'm about. This is what I love, and this is what I hate. And that is your brand. And that brand follows you everywhere. And it will be with you the rest of your life. You may communicate it a little bit differently as you get older. You may articulate different parts of your brand to different people at different times. But who you are, essence of your soul, is one person. And that's what makes you interesting. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you special. Embrace it. Now, Everybody know who this is? Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This is what I'm going to leave you guys with. He tells a story that I think is great, and it embraces everything that I've said, and you guys are going to love this.
I was getting in trouble with Uncle Phil. I was in trouble with Uncle Sam. Me and Jeff had come out with our smash hit, Parents Just Don't Understand. We made a bunch of money. We won a Grammy. Album was triple platinum. I had motorcycles and cars. I called the Gucci store in Atlanta, and I was like, hey, will y'all close it down if I bring my friends? And I'm smiling, but that's stupid. We released our next album, and it was like a flop. It was a tragedy. It went like double plastic. I had spent most of my money, like all of it. I spent all my money. And I didn't forget, but I didn't pay the IRS. In my mind, I mean, I wasn't like trying to avoid paying taxes. I was just like, oh, damn, they need their money. The IRS took all that stuff, so I was like, broke. Being famous and broke is a shitty combination, because you're still famous and people recognize you, but they recognize you while you sitting next to them on the bus. And the stuff they ask you to sign on a bus, you know, like, oh, can you sign my baby? That's a Sharpie. I probably shouldn't just write on the baby with that. Oh, you too big to sign my baby. Well, no, I mean, you know, so I signed it. So I was like laying around, and my girlfriend was like,
dude, we're not doing this. Like, you're not just gonna be laying around this house all day. You're gonna go do something.
And I was like, what? What am I supposed to do?
Go where people is doing it.
Where are people doing it?
Go to the Arsenio Hall show.
Just go stand around at the Arsenio Hall show?
Yes.
That's stupid. Wake it up! So I went to the Arsenio Hall show, and I met a dude named Benny Medina. Benny Medina is the real-life Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, except he actually went from Watts to Beverly Hills. Same basic concept, way shorter distance. I meet Benny, and he pitches me the idea for this show, and I'm like, you know, I'm not an actor. I'm like, cool. And he says, hey, you know, I want you to meet Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is producing with me. So I find myself at Quincy's, and there's actors and artists and celebrities and politicians. It's like everybody's at Quincy's house. It's like The Wiz without the costume. So Benny walks me in and introduced me to Quincy. And like, hey, Q, what's up, man? He's like, hey, man, you know, I saw your music videos. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. Tell me your rap name again. They call me the Fresh Prince. All right, good. That's what we're gonna call the show. And he handed me a screenplay for a failed Morris Day pilot. Like, I don't have the time. So I need you to do this. I need you to go ahead, take a few minutes, take 10 minutes, study the script, and I'm gonna clear all the stuff out the living room, and we're gonna have everybody sit down in the living room. We're gonna do an audition. He had movers that could reset his furniture. I was like, this dude is real. So goes out, tells everybody, come on. And I was like, hey, Q, hold up, man, hold up. I'm not ready to do no audition. And he said, oh, all right. Well, what you need? Tell me what you need. Just set the meeting for a week and I could do it. He said, yeah, you know, Brandon Tartikoff, the head of NBC, is out there. I'll get him the schedule for next week. And then you know what's gonna happen? Something gonna come up, and then he's gonna have to reschedule. Oh, yeah. So 3 weeks from now, Q, we can do it 3 weeks from now. I said, yeah, 3 weeks from now will be good. Or you could take 10 minutes right now and you can change your life forever. And I was like, it then. Yes, give me 10 minutes. I said yes, and I let it rip. And I got to the end, and everybody is clapping. Quincy looks at Brandon Tartikoff, the head of NBC. Did you like it? And Brandon said, yeah, I liked it. Quincy says, no, did you like it? And he's like, yeah, I liked it. He's like, good, you're his lawyer. Draw me up something right now. Damn, Quincy ordering other people's lawyers around. Like, that's his lawyer, Quincy, leave that man alone. And Quincy turned to me and he was like, hey, Will, you got a lawyer? Quincy, I'm broke. If I had a lawyer taking 5%, he'd owe me money right now. He was like, all right, and he turned to his assistant. He was like, get Will a lawyer. Quincy had been drinking. You know, it's probably obvious from the story, but he had been tasting. He had wet his beak a little bit that night. Yeah, so the lawyers go out in a limo and they're drawing up the first deal for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Quincy is like popping up at the window, no paralysis, do analysis. No paralysis, do analysis. I was like, how did he make Thriller like this? So we got the lawyers draw up something. Ken Hertz looked it over for me, Brandon Tartikoff, and we took a picture and we signed the basic deal for the Fresh Prince. And 3 months later, we were shooting the pilot, and that's the story of how I became the Prince of Bel-Air. So the moral of the story is always say yes, and I guess listen to your girlfriend.
So, what did you learn from that? Anyone?
Opportunity is now.
Opportunity is now. And that when you're telling your story, it's not just about the successes, it's about the failures and how you turn them around. And being able to give people examples of this is what didn't go right. And this is what I learned from it, or this is how I turned it around and made it better. Because people like success stories.
I mean, what you mentioned about like owning up to your mistakes.
Yeah.
What if it would include like thousands of dollars? Like,
I've had thousands of dollars go missing.
yeah.
Here's a perfect example.
Like, what if it could potentially open you up to like hundreds of thousands, not just like tens of thousands?
Here's the thing. Any good business has insurance. Any good business has errors and omission insurance. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen, and that's why businesses carry insurance. You know, people within companies are expected to act in the company's best interest. I used to tell my employees, I said, really simple. If you make a mistake and you own up to it, I will take care of it. I will deal with it. I will take care of the customer. I will make it right. I will make it right because you acted in the best interest of the company. If you did something stupid, if you did something negligent, if you did something that was not part of the culture of the company, you're fired.
Well, has your legal counsel ever advised you to not own up to that mistake?
Never.
What if
No.
they were to advise you to not?
I would probably seek other legal counsel. I am a big believer of if we get to a point where we're letting the lawyers rule the world, the lawyers will rule the world. If you take a look at Maple Leaf Foods and the listeriosis. Does anybody know this thing? Okay, Maple Leaf Foods, a decade ago, a little bit more than a decade ago, can't remember exactly was, had a major listeriosis scare. People died. Okay? People ate tainted meat. People died. What saved Maple Leaf Foods was the president and CEO, McCain, stood in front of the camera day after day after day after day after day, telling people what had gone on, what they were doing, what they were going to continue to do, and how they were fixing the problem. People died. And the brand is as strong today, if not stronger than it was before this happened.
So let's say I'll do a personal question that also use a corporate example. You want to change a certain facet of your personal brand.
Yes.
How do you go about doing it? Let's say, for example, all well-to-known Uber, or I think it was Uber that's been in the news for being so, anti-diverse and whatever. So if that's your brand, or if you have a certain way that people see you, how do you change, even if it's a small facet of it, what process do you go through changing that? Because people might say, oh, she's being like this, or he's being like this because of X, Y, Z, and that's not your true self. Whereas maybe you're bringing up a certain part of yourself that was maybe hidden, or you didn't bring out most of the time, and now you're bringing it out.
Yeah. Brand change and brand realignment takes time. You can put out a fancy campaign, you can change the conversation, but it takes time for people to believe it. You know, if I say that I have phenomenal customer service and it takes you half an hour every single time to get through to one of my operators on the phone, do I really have great customer service? You know, it may take time. I want to have great customer service. It's important to me. It's interesting, then you do it. And you realize what are the holes that are keeping my company from having great customer service, and you fill them, and you fix it. And it takes time, and people will believe it when they see it. Words are words, actions are actions. And it takes time for people to change perception. And some people won't change perception. We've had companies where we've had to change the name of the company and actually go through an entire rebrand, disassociate ourselves from the old brand, build something brand new, change the entire direction that they were going in, because guess what? The old brand was just perceived a certain way that just was not the direction that they want to go in going forward. And that sometimes is what has to happen, and that takes time. You know, and those are the things that, you know, take time, they take money, they take energy, and they take the responsibility of everybody within the company to be part of that. Because if, you know, you say you're changing the brand, and if your people inside the company still think and act the way the old company did, you're still the old company. So there's a perfect example is Pacific Coastal Airlines. Pacific Coastal Airlines went through a rebrand 8 years ago. And what they did is they flew, they have 75 different locations across BC. And what they did is the president and his brother and their marketing team, who is actually a friend of mine, flew to every single location and told the story themselves to every single employee of the company. So nobody was hearing about it secondhand. Everybody got to talk to the president. Everybody got to see the videos firsthand. Everybody got to ask as many questions as they wanted about what's the direction that you're going in, because that's the only way you're going to get people to start telling the new story. You got to get rid of the old brand. You got to get the new brand out there and do that. A lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember when BC Tel became TELUS. When BC Tel became TELUS, you walked down the street one day and everything said BC Tel on it. You walked down the street the next day and everything said TELUS. It was the most incredible thing, and they did that across Canada. The logistics team that they had in order to do that, and I did something similar for Canadian Airlines years ago, is immense. The planning is upwards of 2 years to do something like that. But that was just, it was just, everything's gone. Let's start again. And telling a brand new story, and brand new marketing, and brand new advertising, and brand new promotional products, brand new letterhead, business cards. Everything showed up that morning with the new logo. And it's not just the logo, it's the story behind the logo. And that's far more important. Because when you can get people telling the story in a consistent way, you know what? That's what's important. Now I want to open this up to questions. To me, it's not just me up here talking. I want to find out what you guys are thinking about. What makes it interesting for you? What are the things that are burning in your head? And what's important? I'm going to make sure that I get this slide deck out to out to the team, so you guys can all get a copy of it. But what's important to me is what are the questions that you guys have, because that's what's important.
What are the 3 things you'd recommend, say, going into a brand new organization first 6 months? What should you focus on in the first 6 months in developing your personal brand?
The first thing that I would do in any organization in the first 6 months, and I don't care if you're 21 years old walking into a company or you're in the CEO's chair, close your mouth and open your ears. Close your mouth, open your ears. Understand that everybody in that company has been there longer than you have. There's a way that things happen in that company. There is a reason why people do what they do. It may not be the right reason. It may not, there might be stuff that's dysfunctional. But it's not your job the first 6 months to change the world. Your job is to sit there and say, I noticed you do this way. Why has this happened this way? This is a funny story, and it has nothing to do with the company. In Judaism, I'm Jewish, there's a holiday called Simchat Torah, which is where it's a celebration every year. We start reading the Torah from the Bible from the beginning every year. And what we do is we take the Torahs and we circle the synagogue 7 times, one for every day of the week. And a guy goes away and he comes back 15, 20 years later, and he's going into the same synagogue and he realizes that they're doing the 7 things, and he notices in a certain place, and it's a new building, they're ducking. Every single place they're ducking in the same place, and he says, well, do you guys all know why you duck? He says, no, it's a new building, and a lot of us are new to the synagogue. He says, we don't know why. He says, well, I'll tell you why. There used to be a pipe there. In the old building, there was a pipe. And so everybody ducked for the pipe. So it became a tradition. And every company has that pipe. Every company has something that they do because they've always done it that way, which doesn't make it right. But in the first 6 months that you walk into a company, it's not your job to tell people that they're wrong for doing it. It's your job to understand why they're doing it in the first place. Because there's too many people that walk in and want to change the world. Well, guess what? When you start upsetting the apple cart right away, that reflects badly on your brand. And that's what I tell people. I don't care, when I walk into a new customer, I ask 100 questions before I give one solution. I am far more interested in who they are, what they do, why they do it, who their customers are, and why their customers care about them than any solution I can come up with. Because until I understand what makes a company tick, what makes a person tick, what's their reason for being there, I can't help them. So be that person who's curious. Be that person that walks in going, you know what? I'm going to learn from everywhere. I'm going to go down and I'm going to talk to the janitor. I'm going to talk to the people in the mailroom. I'm going to talk to the operations manager. I'm going to talk to the CFO. I'm going to talk to different departments, because the more breadth you can get outside of your department, and the more different people you can talk to that do things that have nothing to do with your job, the more you're going to understand how the company works. And that's where the real magic is. The more you can be curious about the company and talk to the salespeople and sit there going, who are your top customers? Why? Talk to the marketing people and say, why do we communicate this way? The more you can be curious about departments that have nothing to do with the job that you're currently doing, the more valuable you will become as you increase your brand within the company. And people will notice that. People will notice that you're the one asking the intelligent questions. People will sit there and say, you know what? They're not giving an opinion, they just want to know why. There's no judgment out of there. They're not judging, they just want to know why. And then maybe 6 months down the road, you can sit there and say, you know what? We learned this was something new that we learned at SFU. You know what? Maybe, I noticed that we're doing this. This is something that we learned in school. Could we try this as a pilot to see if this could work? And if you tell people, say, you know what, there's not much risk to trying this in a limited phase. Guess what? If that works well, it'll get adopted. And it's just sitting there going, I understand where you're coming from as a company before I start putting my own opinion in there. I don't know if I have 2 more things, but.
If you're creating your brand, and so you have in your mind what you want to portray, and you act in that way because you understand your why. That's it. If you're understanding your why, you're behaving and acting in the way that you want to be perceived. How do you know if it's being perceived in the way that you're intended? Like, what do you do to find out as feedback to yourself if how you're wanting to portray yourself is being received that way by the people who are perceiving you?
I ask people. I say, how do you perceive?
How you
Yeah, I ask my clients all the time. It says, what do I do well? What don't I do well? You know, and that's part of, you know, having a boss, and that's part of, you know, one-on-one coaching. That's part of mentoring. It's just, what do I do well and what don't I do well? What are things that, you know, that I should do more of, and what are things that I should do less of? You know, what are the things that are going to help me succeed within this company? And the sooner each and every one of you can find a mentor, either within the company you work for or outside the company you work for, somebody that you can have open and honest conversations with, and you feel comfortable having those open and honest conversations, the better off you are. You know, the two mentors I work with don't even live in Vancouver. You know, one of them is in New York and one of them is in LA. And we work on Zoom, and it's great. And they hold my feet to the fire. And they have told me, Ben, you're being an idiot. And that's okay. Because they're going to tell me why I'm being an idiot. And they're going to do it in a constructive way, in a way that's going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should stop doing that, or maybe I should look at doing it this way instead. Because we all have different perspectives. You know, we all come to this world with a different set of biases. We all come with a different set of ideas and ideals. And the more we can bounce our ideas off other people in a way that we're comfortable with, you know, and ask those questions and say, you know what, this is how I perceive my brand. Is that how people see me? And be able to do that. You know, it's understanding that there is no such thing as a dumb question. It's people that are actually willing to listen to the answers that are going to get better. Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask, since we are like MBA graduates now and we're thinking of applying for jobs, so in that case, when it comes to personal branding, there are a lot of times when we see job applications where they have a little higher skills listed and you want to apply.
Yeah.
But then somewhere you think you're not enough. So how do you overcome that in personal branding?
You can't fight against, if somebody says, I want 10 years of something, you have 2. You know, if somebody says, I want 10 years experience in this field, that's what they're looking for, and you have 2 years of experience, that's hard to fight against. However, there's a lot of things that you can do to be able to sit there and say, how do I couch the skills that I have within the document? And it's whether, and I make it clear within the first 6 sentences of the cover letter. These are the values that I have, and these are the skills that I think that I can offer this company. And I think the cover letter is something that is undervalued by most people. A good cover letter is far more important than the resume. People are going to, first of all, most of your resumes are going to be scanned by an AI or a bot. That's reality. They're looking for keywords, and if those keywords are there, great. If the keywords aren't there, then that's life. You know, and that's terrible, it's horrible, but that's reality. A good cover letter that has the right keywords in it that talk about, I've researched you as a company. I understand from an outsider's point of view that these seem to be the issues that you're having, and these are the skill sets that I have that can help you fix that problem. That's what people will pay attention to. People are looking to hire because they have a problem. People listen to you. People will take your appointment because they have a problem and they think you can fix that problem. You know, people are busy. People are really busy. But people will always take the time, or they should always take the time, to listen to somebody who they think can fix a problem they already have. And it's understanding how big a problem is it for that person. And the more you can sit there and say, I understand this is the problem, these are the skill sets that I have that will help you alleviate that problem, the more people will pay attention to it. Anyone else? Yeah.
It's like, where
Mhm.
And I understand that your book kind of is a tool that we can potentially use.
Yep.
Is your company also like a consulting
Yep.
company
Yep.
as well? And what kind of like what is the process usually like when you're working with experts? like
Sure.
yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for the thing, I've got a coupon there called Beedie. I do a 4-session personal branding workshop, and it's personal consulting for one-on-one, 4 people, and I'll go through there and we'll talk about who you are, what you do, why you do it. What are the type of companies that you're looking for, how to present yourself, take a look at your social media, that kind of thing, and that coupon will get you $50 off that. Not really what I was selling, but whatever. What we tend to do is we look at people and we sit there and say, how do we distill it? How do we sit there and say, what are the 6 words that are going to get people's attention? What are the thoughts that you should be focusing on? Because there's so much noise out there. There is an enormous amount of noise out there. When you're applying for a position, you could be one of 300. I mean, especially when you're doing something like cattle call on Indeed or one of these other places. There could be 300 or more resumes that are showing up. And granted, 100 of them are going to go right into the round file. They're not qualified, they don't have the right things, they're not set up properly, whatever. But that still makes you one of 200. That's 0.5%. How do you differentiate yourself? I've FedExed, I've seen people FedEx resumes. I've seen people create packages of work blocks and how to get people's attention and how to get yourself, this big box shows up on somebody's desk instead of 2 pieces of a resume that are online. How do you pull yourself away from the crowd? How do you get people to sit there and go, okay, they took a little bit of extra effort? Because there's so many people that will just take the same resume and they'll dump it into 300 different job offers. No differentiation, no nothing, no personalization, no cover letter, no nothing. And they'll just take it and they'll send the same resume out. Every company is different. Every company is looking for something different. Every company has a problem. How can you solve their problem? That's the number one thing. If I leave you with one thing, what is the problem that I solve? That is the one thing that I would ask each and every one of you to figure out before you leave Beedie. What is the problem that I solve? And how can I articulate that concisely? Mm-hmm.
So for some of us, we're finishing up this MBA or whatever master's we're doing here, and we're probably looking at also switching our careers.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through some steps we could consider? I know the LinkedIn one, I know the resume one. What else should we do if we're trying to switch? Like, I'm in education management, but maybe I want to go into finance.
Yep. It's what I tell people is, take the skill set that you've had over the last 10 years and see how it's applicable. Perfect example is people coming out of the military. People said, they were in the military. What skills can they have? Well, they got leadership skills, they have problem-solving skills, they have the ability to lead, teams. They're not afraid, not afraid to take chances. They're not afraid to be adaptable. And it's sitting there going, how do I take the skills that have got me to this point and reframe them for the new position? Because, and I'm not picking on McDonald's because I love McDonald's. People sit there and says, well, I just worked at McDonald's, but you went from being the fry cook to the assistant manager. What did you learn along the way? What skills did they teach you? What courses did you go on? What were the things that made you better? What allowed you to advance within the company? And those are the things that you want to present. It's the skills that you learned on the way. It's not the job that you had. It's the skills that you learned along the way. And it's being able to take those skills and say, these skills are now applicable to everything, because skills are transferable. Jobs are jobs. You know, 25 years ago, I was in high-tech sales. I was in a plane 200 plus days a year. I hated it. It almost cost me my marriage. 10 years before that, I was a system operator at UVic, building the first computer lab, first Mac lab in the 1980s. So we're all going to have different careers. We're all going to move and shift from place to place to place to place. My wife has worked for Dominion Securities and Royal Bank for the last 20 years, and she's had 8 different careers within the same company. It's the skill sets that have allowed her to move from department to department. People are more interested in what you've learned and the skills that you've met along the way and the people that you've befriended along the way than they are interested in the actual job title that you had previous to this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say you want to do this and shift your career in a new direction.
Yep.
But you don't have any experience in the thing that you want to start doing.
Yep.
How do you convince people that you can do it?
Do it.
For free?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had people, here's a perfect example. When I first started public speaking, I spent 2 years public speaking for free. Small crowds, lunch and learns, building a craft, getting comfortable being in front of an audience, learning how to build a PowerPoint presentation, all the things that go along with it. And it's not until I had built up my credibility within that field that people actually started paying me to do this. And that took time. It's like everything with your brand. Your brand is built. It's Lego. Your brand is Lego. You keep building and building and building and building and building, and all of a sudden you start having the credibility. And it's by doing that you build that credibility. And sometimes you're going to get paid for it, and sometimes you're going to volunteer. Sit on a board of directors. Join a professional organization. Every single, type of business you guys want to go to has a professional organization. There's the BC Association of Marketers. There is, advertisers companies. There's legal, all those things. Join the organization and join the board, or take over one of their programs, and just say, I want to do this, and I want to get involved in this, and put that on your LinkedIn profile. Say, I am the volunteer coordinator for this organization, for this project, and this is what I learned, and blog about it. These are the things I learned along the way, and build up that credibility. It's tough, moving from career to career, I'm not gonna kid you guys, it's tough. And it takes a while for people to give you the chance to do what you're capable of. But there are places that you can go where people are craving that expertise. And they can't afford to pay you, or they can't afford to pay you a lot, but they can give you the credibility that you and the opportunity for you to learn in a way that's that's going to be beneficial for both of you. And that's investment in time. That's an investment. Don't look at that as giving anything away for free. Look at that as an investment in yourself. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you put a lot of effort to something and you didn't get any positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow you feel a little frustrated. So how can we overcome that frustration and motivate ourselves to keep doing this?
It's tough. Nobody likes hearing the word no. Nobody likes hearing the word no. I've been, owning my own company for 22 years, being in sales for as long as I have, I've heard no probably 70% of the time. That's reality. If I had 100% of people say yes to me, I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere. Really, honestly. I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere and I'd have 100 people out there doing what I do for me. But in reality, 30% of the time is really what you're going to get yeses to. And you have to sit there and say, why are they saying no? My philosophy sometimes is it's not no, it's really not now. I haven't either given them the reason why they should say yes, or it's just not an opportunity that's right for them. And you know what? It's not about you, it's about, is it right for them, and is it right for them now? You know, you can sit there and say, you know what? Why, you know, just say, why no? And they're just saying, you know what, this is not a good opportunity for you right now. Okay, why? And sometimes that goes into a really cool conversation where somebody says, you know what, we're just about to finish Q4. We're going to be looking at this type of thing in Q1. Can you come back to me in 6 weeks? And it's the people that ask those type of questions and those follow-up, instead of just saying no, oh, okay, fine, I'll walk out the door. It's the people that sit there and say, okay, what are the things that are keeping you from saying yes? And sometimes it's insurmountable. And then you shake their hand, you thank them for your time, and you walk away. And that's okay too, because you know what that does? Then you're not wasting your time. You know? Instead of you following up and 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 getting people mad at you and you getting more frustrated. Sometimes, you know what? The opportunity just isn't an opportunity, and that's okay. But sometimes it's digging a little deeper and sitting there going, why is this not an opportunity right now? And it's figuring out the right way to say that within that context, to sit there and say, what can I learn? Well, wait a second here. They may just not have the budget for it now, but they may have the budget for this in 8 weeks. Can I follow up with you in 7? Yeah. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you in 7 weeks. Great. Diarize it, call them in 7 weeks. And all of a sudden, you're top of mind because you actually took the time to follow up. And it doesn't matter if you're in sales or marketing or CFO or whatever, it's understanding that sometimes it's not right for the person you're talking to now. It doesn't mean that they want to say no forever. It's just not the right opportunity now. And it's digging a little deeper to find out what are the things I can do to make them say yes in the future. Did that help? Okay, so dig a little deeper.
So just sometimes like I try something new and nobody just accept my effort.
Yeah.
And I don't get any positive feedback, and I feel like I will be hesitate to keep doing this because I'm not sure it's the right direction to do, right? Either it will be a waste of my time or I can get success, but who knows? But so how should I do? Like,
I think only you can answer that. And I don't mean to be trite about it, but only you can decide when it's time for me to cut my losses and move forward. You know, every one of us have our tipping point. I had a client I chased for 2 years and ended up getting their business. They said no to me half dozen times over 2 years. They ended up being a $250,000 business for me for 10 years running. Okay? But it was me being tenacious enough to sit there going, okay, it's not good for them now, all right. They said to follow up with me in 7 weeks, so I followed up with them in 7 weeks to see what it was. And the guy said at the end, you're not going away, are you? I said, nope. As long as you tell me that I can keep coming back, I'm keeping coming back. But that's my personality. That's me. You know, you need to sit there and say, why did people say no to me? What are the things I can learn from it? What are the things, you know, maybe if I said it this way instead of saying it this way, then maybe, do you know what A/B testing is? Okay, A/B testing started off in the marketing business and in direct mail years and years ago. It's sending out the exact same piece of direct mail, whether it's digital or whether it's analog mail or whatever. You send out the exact same piece of mail to 2 different groups with one change. The headline may change, the picture may change, one thing. There's just one thing, and it's sitting there going, which one do we get better response with? And all of a sudden you start tweaking it. And you say, okay, well this worked. Well, let's take that one, and now let's try this, and then let's try this. And it's sitting there going, what are the little things that I can change that can make the difference? You know, what are the little things that I can, the way I phrase it, the way that I put my sentences together, where I put my call to action, how I phrase the value statement. You know, what are the things that I can do that I can, just little things that I can change and tweak and try that could make the difference? And try it. The worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to say no. That's the worst that can happen, is that somebody says no. Okay, so another person says no out there. There's 8 million people in the world. Are we almost done here? Yeah. Okay. There's 8 million people in the world out there. Guess what? They're not all your customers. Very few of them are. Embrace the ones that are your customers, learn who they are, learn why they're important to you, and communicate to them. Forget about the masses. Forget about the people that could care less about who you are and what you do, because there's lots of them out there. Concentrate on the people that care about who you are. Thank you guys very much.